Hi, and welcome back to another episode of Unique Moments where I talk about things from my unique perspective. So, we are continuing with this Universal Law series, and this is law number 11, the law of rhythm. We're almost there. One more law left. We're almost there. This was fun to do and a good little refresher. So, I pulled the card already for the episode, and we got the Fool from the Wandering Heart deck, and it says, a divine time to start fresh. Smirks and eye rolls are being given. You know better. You know better. And when you know better, you do better. Period. That is debatable to me, but we'll get to that on another day. This card invites you to examine your surroundings. Ask yourself the necessary questions. Are you engaging in productive activity? Are you entertaining healthy relationships? Are you ignoring undeniable deal breakers? Are you prioritizing your best interest? Are you moving with caution? Are you bending your moral code to hold space for the undeserving? Are you accommodating special needs for those who don't think twice about your comfort? Are you seeking adornment from an outside source? Are you being honest with yourself? Are you repeating habitual patterns that do not elevate you? Are you pretending to be glad about the shortcomings you receive? Ooh, that was a good one. This card encourages you to strive for improvement. Yes, a great message. Has nothing to do with the law of rhythm, but that's a great message. Are you entertaining company that you shouldn't be keeping? Are you missing your moment of elevation? Are you delaying your fresh start? Are you delaying the introduction of your higher self? Are you, what are you doing? What are you doing? It's a new beginning. It's time for a new beginning. It's time for a new beginning. It's time for a new era. It's time for some new habits. It's time for some new patterns. It's time for the newness. The card is calling us to step into newness in whatever way that looks like for you. So get into it, get into some newness, cut some people off. Look, we don't have time. When you know better, you do better, so they say. When you know better, you do better. Okay, so the law of rhythm. The law of rhythm. So when I think about this law, I think of like a pendulum that swings back and forth, obviously until it stops. But when it's swinging, when it's in motion, you know it's going to go one way and you know it's going to go the other way. That's the rhythm of the thing. It's moving that way. There's no question of, is it going to go up? Is it going to go down? Is it going to go vertical? Is it going to go diagonal? No, it's going to go from left and right, front to back, side to side, because that's what it does. That's the rhythm of the thing. And so the law basically just states that in life, there's a rhythm to things. Everything has a rhythm. So when you think about your sleep cycle, your circadian rhythm, there's a rhythm to that. A lot of us are out of tune with that rhythm, I might say. But there's a rhythm to that. When you're naturally going to sleep with the sun, waking up with the sun, or maybe everybody's rhythm isn't like that exactly, but I'm to the point where I don't wake up with an alarm anymore, and I wake up at the same time. Basically the same time every day, because I have a rhythm. My body has gotten in tune with my rhythm of my wake cycle and my sleep cycle. The law of rhythm follows nature. Like seasons is a good example. You don't have to question, when is fall going to come? When is it going to be summer? When is it going to be winter? When is it going to be spring? Because these things have a natural rhythm to them. It's like nature's time clock. Like, you know when it's fall, you know when the summer's here, you know when the winter's here, you know when the spring is here, because it's a law of rhythm. We're in the rhythm of things. We're in tune of things. There's flow. There's an ebb and there's a flow to everything in life if you're really in tune. If you're not in tune, it could just look like chaos and things are happening at random and coincidentally, and nothing is ever in order and in place. But there is a divine order. There's divine order to the universe, and these universal laws outline that divine order. There's a flow. There's a flow to life, and life is cyclical. And there's a time for everything. And you can't really stay in one thing too long because the tables have to turn. It's like what goes up must come down. Like if you're on a high and you're just having win after win after win after win after win. That it doesn't mean you have to take an L or that it's around the corner. However, it's likely, because that's just the way the cycle works. You got to keep things in balance. The universe loves balance. One thing the universe is going to do is balance you out. If you're all work and no play, something's going to happen with your work. If you're all play and no work, something's going to happen in your play. And it's always seeking to balance you out. You can't have too much of one thing is not a good thing. Let's say that. And there's just a time for things. If you're, even look at relationships, it's cyclical. You can have a good period. You can have a good long stretch before no arguments, no disagreements, no nothing. But then there's going to be that one day. Some might say it could be around a certain time of the month for an individual. I don't know. But there's going to be a day, someday, out of this cycle where, a little disagreement is going to happen, because then you have to, it's like with music. It's sound and silence, the balance, the divine duality of sound and silence, of tension and ease, of discord and relaxation, of harmony and flow. It's a rhythm of things. There's a rhythm to life. There's a rhythm in the way that you do things, and there's a rhythm to relationships. There's a rhythm to nature. There's a rhythm for living, for your life. There's a time for creation, and there's a time for rest. And you feel this. If you're creating, and you're just going, burnout hits, or boredom hits, or something hits for you to stop and change the direction of the natural flow of the rhythm. You have to get into a different rhythm. You have to get into a different groove. And then the rest period comes, and then it balances you out again. It's like, okay, now I can be in my creative cycle again. And now this is the time to rest. This is the time to play. This is the time to learn. This is the time to study. This is the time to do. This is the time to be, there's a time for everything. What's that Bible verse that says there's a time? There's a time. Gotta go get the Bible. Gotta go get the handy dandy Bible. Okay, so we're back with our King James Bible, and I should have started with this because this is a beautiful, beautiful Bible verse that depicts the law of rhythm. So it's Ecclesiastes chapter 3. I don't know how many verses it goes, but we're starting at verse 1. So it says, "To everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under the heaven, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to pluck up that which is planted." Reaping, harvest, sowing, reaping. "A time to kill and a time to heal, a time to break down and a time to build up, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to cast away stones and a time to gather stones together, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to get and a time to lose, a time to keep and a time to cast away, a time to rend and a time to sow, a time to keep silence and a time to speak." Some of y'all need to, let me read that one again. A time to keep silence and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time of war and a time of peace. So basically, there's a time and a place for everything. There's a time and a place for everything, and that just laid it out so beautifully. I really don't think I have to say more. That was the law of rhythm summed up. There's a time for everything. And the more you're in tune with this, the more things just kind of flow for you. If you're in the time of silence and you're speaking and you're making a bunch of noise, it's not in balance. You're out of whack. It's just, you're not in balance. You're not in alignment. If you're praising when it's time to be mourning, you're not in alignment. And you feel it. You feel a little discord. It's like things just aren't flowing as easily as they could be because you're not in the rhythm of things. You're not in the law of rhythm. You're not in the universal rhythm of life. And one of the things, if you're not in the universal rhythm of life, if you feel like your timing's always just a little bit off, or things just don't quite feel right, things aren't adding up, you're not seeing the synchronicities, or maybe things just aren't happening for you like that, or it's like just difficult, like you're struggling, you're having a hard time, get in nature. That is my number one. If you got allergies and you got all the things, I really apologize. Figure it out, because getting in nature is one of the single best things that you can do for your body, for yourself, for your mind, for your spirit. And you don't have to take a long walk. You don't have to go out in the middle of the forest and like do a meditation. Literally just being amongst the trees and the grass. Touch some grass, for the love of Christ. Touch some grass. Get out with the butterflies and the dragonflies and the bees and the flowers and the trees and just observe. Like really just observe and take it in and breathe in that good oxygen. And that is a whole reset. It's a whole reset, because nature is never out of whack. Nature is never out of rhythm. Nature is always in her energy. She's always in her element. She's always in the law of rhythm. She's blooming when it's time to bloom. She's dying when it's time to die. She's withering when it's time to wither. She's protecting when it's time to protect. She's shining when it's time to shine. She knows her place and she knows her spot, and no one is going to ever trick her out of her spot. So if you feel like you need a little balancing, just get out in some nature and observe the law of rhythm. Observe how the plants and the bees and the trees and the animals, sometimes if you're lucky enough to see animals, I see rabbits all the time. I see, what else? Birds. Observe the birds. My goodness. We can learn so much from the birds. We can learn so much from the birds. I probably sound crazy, but you can learn so much from the birds, so much from nature, just watching, just observing how things move out of rhythm. They don't speak. They don't have words. They just know. They have instinct. They move off their intuition. They know when to move. They know when a predator is coming. They know where their food is. They know what people to go closest to. They just know. They know when the weather's coming. They know when it's about to rain. They know things because they're in tune with the laws of rhythm. And that's all I got for this one. Until next time, we have our last law in the 12 Universal series.